everyone. Welcome to the Desiree Show. We have a very special guest with us in the studio today, Karen Davis.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Now, Karen is a registered dental hygienist with a Bachelor of Science degree in dental hygiene. She's been recognized as one of the top clinicians in continuing education by Dentistry Today magazine for 5 years and counting, and is the author of numerous published articles and is a member of the American Dental Hygienists Association. That's not all. She's also on the Dimensions of Dental Hygiene Corporate Council, the founder of Cutting Edge Concepts, her own speaking company, and a trainer for the JP Institute in Carlsbad, California. Ms. Davis has more than 30 years of clinical experience as a practicing hygienist. I'm exhausted. With all that going on, thank you so much for taking your time out of your clearly busy schedule to join us on the Desiree Show.
My pleasure.
Well, let's get right into it. So, now you've been a dental hygienist, you've been in the practice for about 30 years. What is the most significant change that you've seen over the course of your career?
Okay, well, this will date me because I actually practiced when we did not use gloves, we did not use masks. I remember scrubbing my nails between patients. But other than that, really, that's not the most significant change. The most significant change really has to do with the changes in our understanding of oral and systemic health. It has truly changed everything.
Now, how has that altered what you do?
Well, in a lot of ways, actually. Cornerstone of dental hygiene really has to do with preventing disease, preventing dental decay, as well as preventing periodontal infection and even treating periodontal infection. However, in the year 2000, the American Academy of Periodontology put in their parameters of care about the treatment of periodontal disease that one of the goals was reduction or even elimination of risk factors. Well, if you look at that broadly in terms of the oral and systemic implications, my role today has a lot to do with talking to patients about how to control risk factors related to cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, improving their diet, reducing their stress. All of these things affect the overall health as well as the oral health.
So do you see your role sort of expanding beyond just providing preventative services to more disease management?
Absolutely. I think health and wellness is really incorporating a large component of dental hygiene, and that will certainly continue in the future. I used to not have conversations with my patients about omega-3s and omega-6s, reducing saturated fats from the diet, antioxidants, but these are kind of things that really incorporate a lot of my patient care, my education, and really even almost coaching to my patients.
Now, do you have an example of any patient experience where you successfully relayed this concept?
Yeah, the first example that comes to mind is a patient named Paul, and I would imagine every dental hygienist practicing has a patient just like Paul in their practice. He is a 3-pack-a-day smoker for the last 40 years. He has a lot of stress in his life, which he relays to me every time I see him. And Paul also has been suffering from periodontal disease and the maintenance of that, both non-surgically and surgically. So his appointments are quite complicated. However, instead of just focusing on biofilm removal and the emphasis being there, his appointments have taken on a completely different perspective. Let me give you an example. I just saw him recently, and I focused on 3 additional areas. The first one had to do with smoking cessation. Now, we've had this conversation before. However, I approached it differently this time with Paul. I really asked him, what are the barriers that get in the way of you considering smoking cessation? Let's talk about that. Is that okay? He agreed, and he identified some of the barriers that weren't successful, and then I supplied him with some information, some resources that he could use for smoking cessation. The American Dental Hygienists Association has a website available for patients called Ask, Advise, and Refer. And this information is available for patients to tap online and even be a part of chat rooms. And as I discussed this with Paul, he was actually ready at the point this time where he would do this at home in the privacy of his own home, but studies have actually shown that patients are most successful with smoking cessation if they have some type of professional support along with support with a broader chat room or a phone line.
Ah, very good.
So that was one area that was different with his last appointment. Another one had to do with talking about the implications of oxidative stress that happens in the oral environment as you use tobacco. There's a great deal of information available that's being published and researched currently combining oxidative stress with the impact it has on creating additional chronic inflammation. We know this now, and we need to begin to talk to our patients about the implications of oxidative stress overall, what it does in the oral environment, as well as the overall burden systemically. And interestingly enough, there is a brand new product that was released this past year that can really help answer the equation for what's going on with the tissue response with patients like Paul that are long-term tobacco users. So part of my appointment involved talking to him about the use of PerioSciences antioxidant gel called ProVantage, and really introducing him to the benefits that he can receive from application of this gel. You literally put it on your finger and you apply it to the gum tissue twice a day. The results of what it does clinically have been pretty amazing, especially for the use of tobacco patients, although it has a lot of other implications.
Sure, absolutely. All right, so those are the first 2 points. What's your third?
Well, the third thing that was different with Paul's last visit that really is appropriate for a lot of patients. Patients live with a lot of stress, but studies have shown that elevated stress without appropriate coping skills actually increases a patient's susceptibility to periodontal disease. So in Paul's case, we really spent some time talking about how he could manage his stress and actually reduce it. So now as the dental hygienist, I'm in the role of coaching him toward a starting place to increase his exercise to begin to help offset the stresses that are constant in his life. And we came up with a game plan on where he wanted to start, and all of this information actually becomes part of the patient record so that you can follow this from visit to visit with the patient and build upon it.
You are truly like a life coach.
It feels that way.
It really is. Now, in a regular appointment, that seems like a lot of information to pass along. Do you have any advice on how you can most succinctly get to the point with your patients?
Wow, that's a great question, and it's all about time management, and every dental hygienist out there really struggles with that 4-letter word, T-I-M-E, that's just constant in what we're doing with our patients. So what I'm describing with a patient like Paul, this is only after we've identified the disease, we've treated the disease, he's under control, he's in maintenance, and because as dental hygienists we see patients over an extended period of time, we can build upon the education every visit. Really, for dental hygienists to master time management, a dental hygienist must learn the art of prioritization. So obviously with a patient like Paul, initially his priority was to get his infection under control. Well, we're many years down the road now, so I have opportunities to build upon that education in terms of what services I provide and the time spent on talking to Paul and communicating with Paul and really coaching him throughout the way. It's a building process.
Well, now, Karen, you've covered a lot of ground for us today, but there's still more information to share. So what we're going to do is wrap up this episode and bring you back for a part 2. So stick around, everybody. Karen Davis is coming back for another episode of The Desiree Show.
Thank you.